Reddit says it banned a pro-Trump group from its platform because it reveled in the violence last week on Capitol Hill. According to the chief operating officer, Reddit's trying to build an online communities that respect civil discourse and human dignity and will not tolerate hate and resentment. Jen Wong, the Chief Operating Officer, is with me now. Thank you. I'm grateful to have you. I appreciate your time. Look, I'm not for a second, Jen, suggesting this is easy. I mean, the Reddits, the Twitters, the Facebooks, this whole social media, it's all new. It's all been in the last decade and a half or so. So it is new stuff, and we're making the rules up as we go along. But where do you stand when it comes to banning a world leader?
Thanks for having me, Richard. So look, Reddit's mission is to help everyone in the world find community and belonging. And you're right. What's very important in building our platform is respecting civil discourse and human dignity. It's clear that our site-wide policies, they prohibit hateful content, harassment, and calls for violence. These are real life problems that can be reflected on the internet. And, you know, we took action to ban that community. It was a community named r/Donald Trump last week, given repeated policy violations. But, you know, our enforcement work is ongoing, and we're constantly evaluating communities, and we'll continue to action those in violation of our policies. But you know what? Reddit's corner of the internet is actually a really positive place, given our policies and enforcement. We're not perfect, but we're really committed to building a place that reflects and respects our values. So we take our responsibility very seriously.
I would agree, and certainly you strike a much more reasoned balance between vigorous debate than some others. But you can certainly see that the precedents for future actions, not that we could ever get maybe another situation like this in the near term, but the future actions, the precedents are being written now.
I think that, you know, we're always evolving, you know, how we think about our policies. But, you know, enforcement it's just an ongoing process. And we're focused on our mission of achieving community and belonging. And I think what goes along with that is ensuring that our communities and platform are safe, have civil discourse, have respectful conversations. So if we focus on that, I think that there will be consistency even as things evolve and change.
The CES was not able to be held this year physically, obviously, but the various announcements were made, the trends were established. What did you see coming out of it that Reddit believes is something to latch onto?
Yeah. Well, I'll say, you know, in the last year, I think we saw three things that, you know, usually you would talk about at CES because you're thinking about what's happening in the future, right? The first is that people turn to communities for information, comfort, help in 2020 because of the pandemic. And I think that's only going to grow. It's like week one of the pandemic, people are thinking, what is this virus? I have no idea. They flocked to a community called r/coronavirus, and that became 2 million subscribers to sort through what was happening. Then the next week, there's like the shock of quarantine, and they're dealing with unemployment. They're helping each other through relationships and home office setups. And then the next week, they're just trying to live in isolation, right? What do I watch? How do I still play golf in my house? How do I bake bread, find toilet paper? And I think throughout, people realized that they could find connection through communities online. You know, the second thing that happened is more people started using live experiences. So to be synchronously talking to each other, they would jump into a live conversation with strangers. We saw this on our Reddit live network, and they'd listen to music, talk to each other, maybe share some Japanese scrambled egg recipes, and then they would go. And that was okay. That's like a new behavior that I think is emerged over the last year that we saw.
Good to see you, Jen. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's check in again as the year goes on so we know exactly what the latest thinking is. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks,
Have a good
Richard.
weekend.